Hi, I'm Kyle from the Shift Over the Finance community, and today I'm joined with Tim and Will from Data One, and we're going to go straight into it. So, Data One, what problems do you solve? What solutions do you provide?
Yeah, so Data One has been around now for almost 3 years, it was formed off the acquisition that ClearScore did of a small business called Money Dashboard, which is a sort of personal financial management budgeting type app for a team based up in Edinburgh. We acquired that business in 2022, and then we used the technology that we got through that business to develop an open banking services business within the ClearScore group. And what we do is we essentially exist for helping lenders adopt open banking into their credit decisioning processes. So we look at where open banking can be used to supplement decisions across the credit acquisition ecosystem and across the credit lifecycle. And we've developed out solutions that support that.
Brilliant. Okay, so you're serving the lenders, giving them the open banking capabilities through the reputable brand of ClearScore and the acquisition of Money Dashboard. Talk a little bit more about that, on how it started, that you got Money Dashboard was acquired, and then what was the process that led to ClearScore creating a different brand for open banking on?
Yeah, good question. I mean, when we originally acquired Money Dashboard, the sort of major objective behind that was to have our own open banking infrastructure and our own open banking rails behind the scenes to support the ClearScore app and the open banking customer experience within the ClearScore app. But then, having done that and having acquired that business, we then looked at the way that the lending market was evolving in terms of additional data sources needed to support lending decisions, and then realised quite quickly that actually we're sitting on the ability to serve lenders directly as a standalone B2B service that we could offer as part of the group. So we created Data One as a business line in its own right, so that we could then serve lenders both on the ClearScore marketplace, where they were obviously offering credit products to some of ClearScore's 15 million users, but also so that we could offer the lenders the same service outside of ClearScore and on alternative marketplaces or on their own domains where they're acquiring customers, so that we could provide a consistent service across wherever they needed it.
Sure. Why keep the functionality internal when you can serve lenders in a better way?
Exactly. And also from a lender's perspective, once they'd invested in decisioning off open banking data, being able to use it on the ClearScore channel, which is potentially the largest marketplace, credit marketplace in the UK, is great for them. But also they have other strategic channels that they want to use, and therefore if they're going to invest in that credit decisioning, they want to be able to use that everywhere. So that's why we've stood it up as a separate business line within the group, so that we can serve lenders in and outside of ClearScore.
Brilliant. So that's Data One's journey from the origins of Money Dashboard and ClearScore. But who am I speaking to today? When did you guys get involved with that mission, and what's your role in the company? We'll start yourself, Will.
Yeah, so I lead sales. I joined having kept quite close to the story of the acquisition, previously working for Tink and moving across in August 2022. So saw the acquisition, saw the exciting angle that D1 might bring to the market with the ClearScore link and the opportunity to integrate into a marketplace, unlike I think many other providers in the space, and bought in Saudi, and here we are.
Yeah, so I lead the business line within ClearScore, and I was working as sort of strategic opportunities within ClearScore before we decided to hatch Data One as a business line, and as part of that, I was looking at the acquisition of Money Dashboard and saw the opportunity around that time to do something similar to what Credit Kudos were doing back in the day, which is they had a reasonably decent footprint in the early stages of getting lenders to adopt open banking data, and then they were somewhat unexpectedly acquired by Apple, and at that precise moment we thought, well, actually there's a gap in the market for this to be served. There is a need for it amongst lenders. So I made a bit of a case within the business that we should do this, and funnily enough, now this is the vanilla state I look after. Yeah,
That's brilliant. And you've been part of Shift community now for a bit more than a year. How did you first find out about us, and how did you get involved?
I think I was on at Tim ever since I met you at the Open Banking Expo, because I was going to sleep at night thinking about Shift, and I was waking up in the morning thinking about Shift, and it was, I think what attracted me to it was, I mean, you obviously were very engaging about it. You were very eloquent about the opportunity, but also I think trying to differentiate in quite a congested market and being part of a community to both leverage the networks that you could bring together, but also to sort of embrace your support around commercial and around strategy was something that was the reason why I was pushing you to try and sign up to it.
I was going to say, I saw you at conference after conference after conference. You're very dedicated. Yeah. Well, so are you. And now we're at Shift Open Finance Community. You're obviously one of the open banking infrastructure providers behind this for lenders. What opportunities would open finance present for you guys?
I mean, I think so. Fundamentally, what we're trying to do with open banking data as a starting point is try to get the lending industry to adopt it as an alternative to core bureau data or a supplement to core bureau data. Open finance in general, we're just talking about more data sources, more data, similar to open banking but broader. And the whole same story applies, right? So like the more data you can bring into lending decisions and affordability decisions, the more accurate those are going to be and the fairer they're going to be. And the major challenge that we find at the moment with lending is that there are still a huge swathes of the population that don't have any access to affordable credit. Some of those people you can't lend to and they need a different sort of help. But a huge number of them can be lent to very easily, very risk-free, very reliably, very profitably. And yet the way that the sort of the core bureau setup works in the UK is that if you haven't had credit before, it's very hard to get credit in the future, etc. So we believe that open banking will help that for starters. In fact, we know it will. We've seen it happen already. But we also think that, over time, as open finance comes in, that's just going to be new data sources that are going to support this stuff. And the future of credit decisioning will probably look quite a lot different.
I mean, I think from my side as well, I think it's an evolution for open banking, which means more of a spotlight on data sharing for the customer's own benefit. And I think one of probably the restrictions on open banking at the moment is the banks actually sharing the right data or a consistent amount of data to allow us to build decisioning off the back of it. And I think as it grows to open finance, I think there'll be more of a spotlight and importance on the type of data shared for the benefit of the customer as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, the benefit of the customer is a key thing because it's about the bank sharing it, but it's also about the consumer consenting to it. There's always the other option, I can upload my bank statements or something, but it's not as effective, it's not as fair, it's not as much data, and it's making sure in that perspective, okay, I can access credit I couldn't before, or I get a better rate because they know more about me. And that's what's interesting. Now on that similar theme, and it probably links into it as well, next 5 years for Data One, what's on the roadmap? What's exciting?
Yeah, well, it's I mean, I suppose further to what I was just saying, really, like we have this fairly firm belief that as we go through the next 2, 3, 4 years, certainly, the adoption of open banking will increase among the lending industry in the UK, particularly in unsecured lending, probably in secured lending as well. And what we will see as that starts to evolve is that more and more lending decisions will get made with open banking at the core. And therefore, those lenders who are not using it at the moment or are slow to adopt it will start to find changes in the performance of their portfolios because of people finding risk splitting capability in open banking data, and therefore a selection effect starting to appear in their acquisitions. So as that starts to take off, it will have a bit of a snowball effect. And I think over the next 5 years or so, we will see that a fundamental change. I was going to say a fundamental shift there, which would have worked perfectly in the way that credit decisioning works, and therefore, so for consumer benefit, like people getting a much fairer deal, fairer pricing, or just access to credit they otherwise wouldn't have got. Where their alternatives would have been to move to non-mainstream lending, illegal lending, that kind of thing. So hopefully, what we're trying to set out on a path of is doing something for the good of the consumer, for the good of the country as a whole, and actually for the good of lenders, because at the moment lenders are still acquiring a whole load of customers that are riskier than they would like them to be. The more they know about those customers, the more they can make better decisions at better prices.
I was going to say, lending often gets a bad rep, but is so essential for your everyday user, but also for the economy. And what you're doing by allowing people to access more fair lending is actually preventing them from going into positions where it's like buy now, pay later has gone over the top, or you've gone with an untrusted provider and it becomes dangerous.
Exactly right. I mean, this is what ClearScore's been existing for some time, right? So it's free credit score and report is there to help people understand what their credit history looks like, and then get them access to the best priced credit they can get And the fact of it is that, as you say, lenders and lending in general, credit in general, gets a bit of a bad press. But a lot of people need access to credit in order to be able to manage their finances. So when that dries up, then those people have some serious challenges in managing their own lives, and can turn to more dangerous forms of credit, or those kind of alternatives. So it's important as an industry that we make sure that we serve the consumer responsibly. And part of doing that is making sure we understand their personal situation. And the other thing, of course, is like, the consumer duty, the FCA's consumer duty, which basically sort of mandates that lenders start to look to help customers get access to the credit they need, and also avoid foreseeable harm. So open banking falls into that.
Brilliant. Okay, so been part of Shift for a year as well, but you've just recently joined Shift Plus in the past month. You now have Sam Spacey from Woodhurst as your success manager to give insights in the market. How do you hope Shift Plus is going to take Data One along that journey in the next 5 years?
Shows how to Sam Spacey.
Lovely guy, yeah.
I think the first point of me looking into it was actually the partnership that we forged with one of the other Shift members, with Initio. So meeting them through, I think, the original network was a key part of us wanting to move to Shift Plus. I think the opportunity, as I touched on before, to differentiate through potential marketing, things like this, but also the sector specialization of someone like Sam to provide a bit of insight in terms of what are buyers thinking, when they're looking at our materials, and how do we present ourselves within the space, in a very competitive space, with something that enticed me to the opportunity. And I think it's been positive. You've held us up in front of a lot of cameras, which has been great. But I think the speaking to Tim about it, and we're a small team, we're trying to scale, and I think the idea of having a sort of third party, an objective expert to bounce ideas off, has also been a key benefit to us.
That's really awesome to hear, and thank you so much for saying that. Now, let's forget Data One, let's forget Shift, let's talk about you two. What future innovations, maybe we may go 5, 10 years, are you excited about in financial services? What gets you out of bed and you're like, oh, that's interesting?
Apart from Shift Plus. I think I'm not even going to mention the two letters that I imagine everyone on the sofa said previously, but I'm going to say, cool. I think ClearScore do a huge thing. CS24 new release, a lot of open banking being enabled within that. I think to get the customer the best type of product for them, and tailoring that UX is really exciting.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say what I'm excited by that. It sounded kind of like slightly disingenuous in the space, but I think, I mean, there's some interesting. I think there's an evolution. I've referred to it all already, really, but there's an evolution in the way that credit decisioning is working, and I think that's kind of cool for a lot of reasons. And there's the credit information market study that is going to have an impact on this stuff. Consumer duty will have an impact on it. And I just think the whole way that the lending industry works, and there's a whole load of fintechs coming into it, a whole load of challenges that are starting to disrupt how the banks work, for example. I just think it's going to be a really good thing to happen in financial services. I think service quality will go up. I think that people's ability to consume these services digitally will go up. We're already seeing it. I think the banks will have to either catch up or acquire these businesses that are doing it, or they'll have to adjust. But again, that's a good thing. So I think that's it's a long journey, but I think that's what we will start to see over 5 to 10 years. And I think it will be for the better in general.
That's the right answer.
No, there's no wrong answers. That's perfect. Now, thanks so much for this. And is there any way people watching today can support the Data One journey? How can they reach out? What's the best way for them to get involved?
Well, I think LinkedIn's set the center of the world. I mean, for us at the moment, I think we've got a collection of followers that's good to post to. It'd be nice if people could jump on that. I think that's where we post our press releases, client partnerships. We're building a back catalogue of content around sort of the industry and themes within that, because we are from the unique position of being from ClearScore and having that backing. So
that we have a huge amount of customer insights that you do have from the ClearScore brand.
Exactly. So I think that's probably the main area, or I'm sure we'll put our emails on the video.
Of course. No, that's perfect. And you're speaking to a LinkedIn fiend, so So it works out perfectly. Yeah, thank you very much for listening. And thank you so much, Will and Tim, for joining me today. And make sure to come to future Shift events. You'll probably also meet them there. But yeah, that's all for today. Thanks very much.
Thanks for having us.